Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. It's Kim here, and today I am playing Arm's Length Art with Brenda Clark from Crafting with Eyes Wide Open, the Facebook group. I have the link down below, and I am starting with this bucket of, it's like manila pieces. It's just, it's one of those buckets that I just kept filling and filling. And I'm going to see what I can make out of it. I dug out, these were some cards that I had pre-cut. So I'm going to see if I can finish those first because they're sort of halfway done. And I have some stamps here in a bag. I have some images. I don't even know what's in the pile, but I will make it work one way or another and then maybe further enhance it. But Arm's Length Art is trying to stay within your reach, get things off your desk, get things cleaned up. And it's a good thing for me because it's relaxing and I can just play. So this is my intro to getting started, and I will come back and show you what I did for the rest of the day. So see you later. Bye now. Okay, I'm back. I've finished off a bunch of these, and I'll show you these in a minute. I ended up taking these backgrounds and just completely covering them. I decided I didn't really like them. But I thought I'd show you this process of how I do this. This is the kind of stuff I like to do when I don't want to really think about a lot of things. And, sometimes when you're doing creative stuff, you spend a lot of time working on one piece, figuring out which piece of lace to use, which piece of background paper to use. Although I often say that my piece isn't completed until the background I spent 20 minutes choosing is completely covered. But that's another story. So when I have things like Arm's Length Art, where I'm just cleaning off my desk and using up stuff that I have right here, I have a simple process for making tags and journal cards that I use kind of when I'm in a funk or, the creativity isn't flowing. And that is background, image, elements, and embellishments. 4 things that I kind of think about. So in this case, I've decided not to use this background. It just didn't quite appeal to me. This is the image I've chosen because she was in the pile. So it's not like I had a lot of choice. I had, a handful of images to choose from. And so she is one that I chose. And then I went into my tray of scrapbook scraps, and I came out with this piece, which I thought kind of looked nice because it's kind of a purpley gray tone with her in the, her dress. It kind of matches. She's got a little bit of purpley colors in there. And then I had originally chosen this to be sort of maybe along the bottom, just to break it up a little bit. But then I was digging and I was digging for another piece in here, and I found this paper. So I thought, I think I like this better. It's really more in line. This is a little bit more browny. So this will go back in the scrap bucket. So once I've chosen my image and my background, that's means to get started. And see, it's pretty ugly on that side. Not my colors. And I don't worry too much about making the perfect cut because I know I'm going to be adding more elements on top. And so I just kind of line it up with the base that I'm going to use. And this base just happens to be blank on the back, which is perfect. So I have another scrap now to go in my scrap bucket. I also had this doily. It's a little bit torn, but I'll show you how I'm going to use it so that it doesn't look torn. Or you wouldn't notice it anyway. Now, usually I would just tear this off and add a little piece on, but today I'm just going to first make this not so line-ish, no square lines. I'm just going to manually rip. Some of you have a tear ruler. I have one, but I don't know where it is. So I just tear by hand. And I'm going to ink it up a little bit just so it's not so papery looking. Give it a little bit more of a burnt look. And I don't want much. So knowing that this is the background. I really want just a little bit to cover the bottom. It's just to break up the color a little bit. So I'm going to hold it in place. I think I'd emboss this at one time, but it didn't quite work. What I was embossing, you can sort of see the embossing in here. I'm not sure. Anyway, I'm just going to loosely cut around here because I may want to play yet a little bit more. Okay, more scraps that I'm making. There never seems to be an end. So I'm just going to glue this down. And in gluing it, I'm just using a glue stick because I will eventually stitch around all of these when I'm done. So this is a perfect way to do what I call mind lists, where you don't have to really think about it too much. And you're using stuff that you have in your bucket. Or however you keep your scraps. And I may not have lined this up perfectly. I'm not worried about that either, but I'll just do a double check. A little bit of a nub sticking up here. I do go over them again once I've stitched them as well. And then I want to cut out my image. Now I can cut it by hand, which is what I'm probably going to do, or use my cutter. That's on the table too, but I'm just going to trim it by hand. In this case, I'm going to keep her background. Sometimes I cut around them, and you'll see that in the other ones that I've done. But I really like this background, and it really breaks up the scrap of paper background that I'm using. Now you can use book pages. I'm just going with what's close by and what's on my desk. So now I want to decide, do I want to put her behind here a little bit, sort of coming out of the base that I'm using here. And I'm doing it that way because then I don't have such stark lines. The other lines will get covered up eventually. But this just gives it a nice kind of flowing line that flows right into her, and it breaks up the color a little bit. That's the only thing that I'm doing. So I will now glue that piece down, and because this is a photo and I've trimmed off the edges here, there is that white core. Oh, I hope I'm in frame here. Oh, there goes my camera. Okay, we'll try this again. Just hang on for a second. I'm going to pause the video. Okay, hopefully this works. I'm trying this again. Sorry about that. Excuse me. I've moved things around in here, so my camera tripod doesn't quite line up with my desk. So I've had to move the whole camera arm around, and it's not easy to get it to go this way when I need it to go further back and this way. And there's a sort of a shelf blocking. Anyway, my problem. So I was saying, once I cut the photo, there is this white core, regardless there would be, because it's a heavier paper, that I'm just going to cover with a little bit of ink just to take away that whiteness. Just going, now I can actually see myself now, so see myself working, which usually it's facing this side, but now I'm looking through the camera. So now that I've got the core done, I'm going to again slip it underneath here on a little bit of an angle. I don't like things too straight all the time, so I'm just going to slip it just enough so that it sits quite nicely under this lighter paper here. So I'm going to put some glue on it first. I'm still using tacky glue, but I'm using a different applicator to give me a finer tip. I use my other one as well, but this one is kind of in between. Now where'd that little thing go? Here it is. And I don't worry that it's completely glued down because I will stitch all over this eventually anyway. I like to sew. And so holding this paper in place without gluing it, I'm just going to slide this under here just enough to know that I'm going to catch it and still have some room. And again, I'm not worried about whether or not this gets completely glued down, because I will probably stitch around the photo a little bit. So now I have this paper, and I know no matter what, this is in the right place that I want it to be. And I'm just going to glue this over top, which is why I gave myself just a little extra, so I didn't have to worry about lining it too much with all the four sides, so that I could press it into place and then trim it out on the back side afterwards. If I had a longer piece left over, I would probably flip it over and glue it to the back, because I like to sometimes add some interest on the back side as well, which you can see some of the bits here. This isn't very attractive just by itself, but I will come along and add more things, like, you know, I might add a little postage stamp and some other little doodads just to create a little bit of a collage on the back side as well. But because this is so short, I'm just going to trim it right off. It's not to say I won't add some stuff afterwards on the back side, but not these papers, because they're, first of all, they're too hard to fold around the card. And that is kind of my background and my image. So now it's about elements. And I did say I wanted to use this doily. Now, because it's torn in several places, I'm not going to get the full use out of this doily. So I think I will put a small piece of it down here on top of the lighter lilac paper. So I'm just going to take my glue and go sort of where I think I want it to be. Because doilies are the worst thing to glue down, aren't they? So I put the glue where I want the doily to be, and then I press my doily into it. And then if there are any pieces that will stick up afterwards, I will go with the tacky glue and glue them down afterwards. But not until I'm completely finished with stitching and embellishing, because I don't know how much will be left over when I'm done. So now that I've got this doily on here, I'm just going to trim off the excess. And this I wouldn't even bother to try and go around the corners with this one. There's so many torn bits. And so I have a little piece of that doily here. I can see it's lifting a little bit here, and that's okay. I will catch it later if need be, because I may actually just take my sewing machine and stitch around it, depending on what color I'm using when I'm stitching this. And if not, I will glue it. So there's still this part of the doily, which is quite nice. And just going to find the right spot where I know I'm not going to have all these torn edges. So sort of like that. I will lose some of this when I turn it into a tag shape, but I can at least salvage some of it. So about there, and I'm just adding again a little bit of glue just to get my doily held down a little bit, knowing I'm probably going to cut a good portion of this off. I'm pretty sure. So I can actually bring that a little bit further down. And that's how I salvage all of these little bits to use on my projects, especially when they're all torn. This was probably sitting in a box somewhere and things got piled on top of it. But you'll never know that looking at this one little piece. I just ripped off a little corner there. I don't know if you spotted that or not. But yeah, so that is how I've used that little piece. Now there is some nice lace here. I'm going to scoop that lace And the rest I'm going to say is beyond repair. If it were fabric, then of course I would try to save it. But the rest of this is kind of beyond repair, so I'm going to let it go. But I may use this on here. I'm not sure. So I'm just going to hang on to it for a while. And if I don't, it's not the end of the world if I let this one little piece go. So that's still sort of what I'm calling my background that I'm using on this piece. And so the next thing would be elements and then embellishments. So for elements, I would like to use a flower, and I know there is one in particular, if I can find one, already cut out in my floral tray. I use these meat trays. I don't know if you've seen them in my other videos, but I use these meat trays, and this is just for flowers. This one is just scrappy bits for projects that I have here. I have one here for stamps, which I may go in and get a stamp afterwards, I'm not sure. And then I have, like, this one is all my labels. Not all, but this is what I have open or cut or ready to use. Oh, I see a nice label there I could use too. And so that's how I store everything. Like, I have my scrapbook paper, my strips, birds, butterflies. They're all in their own individual tray, and then I just bring it out and use what I want. But there is a flower in particular that I was looking for that might be in here. And if it is, I will use it. But I want one that's already cut out, because I don't want to cut it out on camera. And I know I have some here somewhere. It's this flower, but I know I have one cut out. Pretty sure I do. Okay, just because I'm looking, right? Oh, wait, there it is. I knew I had one cut out. Actually, I have two cut out. Good. These come from those drawer liner books. So I thought because this had those tones of gray that I would like to use that in here as well. And so because I've put this doily down, am I still on camera here? Yeah. Because I put this doily down, I don't want to take away too much from the doily. And I wouldn't mind having a little bit up here. So I think I'm going to cut this flower sort of to follow those two little flowers. And then I will use this one in the center of this doily. So it does take a little bit away from the doily. Maybe like that. And then this is long enough, I will probably flip this under. Yeah, like that. And again, I don't worry too much about getting these things glued down perfect because I will stitch them. And then this just goes on the back. And so you can see it gives a little bit of interest on the back side here as well. And then this one, I think I would probably add it in to part of the doily, but also to use the flowers to cover up some of that stark line again. So I think I'll go like that. It's too bad I didn't have lilies, but this is close enough. And a little bit of glue. Like I said, I don't know how much of this doily we will have left once I trim the corners out, but and cut off that rough edge. So there's an element. I could also add a stamp, you know, a label, anything like that, but I really like it just like this. I was going to add a stamp, but I don't think I need it. So the only other thing I'm going to do is cut my corners. So I'm just going to give a little trim and then turn this over and trim the other side. So this is how I like to make really quick tags. And then on the bottom here, I just take a little tiny bit off of the bottom to make it not so squarish, kind of just cutting off the nubs, and we're good to go. A little bit of ink to give it that vintage look, and also to remove the core, the whiteness of the core that is showing through. And sometimes I just kind of gently come over, very gently over these other pieces. And there's my tag. Now, not today, but when I have a whole pile of these, they will go to my sewing machine. And when I'm sewing, I will stitch on here, but I will also add things like some lace or some ribbon or just some scrunched up fabrics. Whatever I have in my little bucket of trims that sits by my sewing machine, I kind of have a combination of colors. If I don't have a color that matches, I will come to my scraps, pull a couple of pieces out, and add those to my bucket as well. So this way, when I'm sewing, I have things to work with, and it gets it used up. So this is not finished yet, but this is where I sit, and the embellishing will come when I'm doing the lace trims and the little extras. I may decide to put a tab up here. I may just put a fluff of fabrics up here, whatever I have handy at the time, and that will be the finishing touches that I put on this tag. So you can see, quite simple to make these. If I wanted, I could take this other flower and add that onto the back here, glued down to just further add interest on the back and create, look how nice that fits. I think I have to add that now. We weren't supposed to think about this, Kim. You're just supposed to do it. So this is how I sometimes do tags. I don't always do them like this. Sometimes I have a whole thought process of what it is I want to achieve, whether it be the design elements that I use or you know, a color swatches and stuff that I use. So each time is different, but this is great when I'm doing arm's length art and just clearing off what's on my desk. Because, you know, sometimes you sit on things forever, and then when you do this and you're forced to use what you have, not go and get other stuff, you'd be surprised. And then you go, well, how come I never use that? Because it was waiting for this project. But it's a nice way to tie that into the back side of the image. And then like I said, I will finish this off with some lace and trim and stuff to make it more dimensional, as well as more finished looking. Because I don't really like the straight lines here, but I will cover it in a way and still make it look that you can tell it's a separate photo. So that's my piece here, and I will show you the other ones that I did today, and I'm calling it a day. So there's that one, and then there was this one. Now this one I layered on top. I used some book page underneath, but you can barely see it, which is why I say you don't often see my backgrounds. I used half of this wine label. Further down, you'll see the other half of it in use. And then this little girl, a stamp, cut the corners, and I will further embellish with lace and trims. All on my desk. This little dude here, so sweet. Little bouquet of flowers. I added a little label and another flower, and we'll further embellish this. Now this, I know it's hard to see, but this was a strip of brown cardstock, like kind of that rusty brown, and then a strip of floral fabric, which is almost covered. You can't see it. And then this was a third background. This was all pieces, so I had to piece it together in order to finish the card. Nothing on the back except I had a little leftover piece, but I will further enhance that as I go along. I like to use up different things, whether it's complimentary or something totally by surprise that I put on the back. What's on the back here? Just the little part of the label, but that will get added on more. And then this one here, background paper, some book page at the bottom that you can just barely see through. I had a little piece of napkin kicking around here, so I added that on top, and a butterfly. And again, we'll just get some lace trimming on here. So the butterfly is my little embellishment, or element, I mean. This girl here, this is the top part, or the bottom part of the label, the wine label. If you look at it from this point of view, you can see this was a whole wine label. I just used it because the colors matched. She's playing the harp. I had the word music sitting in the pile, a little flower, and then a floral background here. So again, all of these will have more added on. In this case, I just wrapped the little ticket around here and added this flower. I think what I'll do is I will put a hole right there and then put a ribbon through. This one has a lot more going on back here, so I will probably bring some type of strip element that is more decorative, like a piece of lace or something that I can use to cover. It's too straight line to me. Lovely little girl. Here I use the same image on the background here with the floral wildflowers. Added this on top. She needs some other elements to go on top here. I haven't thought about it that much, but I added the tissue over top just to tone it down a little bit. I didn't really like the book page that was under, so I just toned it down with the tissue. This one, part of a wine label here, and there's the rest of it. I really played on the label shape itself, but added this page on top to break up. Didn't like the book page was too intense, so I covered it along the bottom here, but love the wine label. It says Chardonnay, and then she's a lovely lady. So her I cut out of her background just so I could show you more of the colors of the wine label and complement it all together. Love the tattoo on her back, so perfect. And my last one here, just some scrap background in the same colors that are kind of in the background here, this pink. I left that little bit of pink, well, I left the whole background on this photo, but only because it had this little bit of pink, which allowed me to use this paper. And another doily where I did the same trick. This was a round doily, and I just cut out what I wanted and then discarded the rest. So that's my different tags that I made today for Arm's Length Art for Brenda's group. Now, Arm's Length Art is Crafting with Eyes Wide Open used to be, of course, my group, but I have passed it on to Brenda, and she is just running with scissors. So I'm not going to use that piece. She is running with scissors, and the activity in that group has quadrupled or even more, and she's got lots of new members, and everybody is jumping in and participating and just having a blast and fun. And so now Brenda has Artist of the Week, where she showcases an artist that's created within the group. So maybe one day I'll get to be showcased. Just hinting. Anyway, she is running with scissors in that group, and I'm just so happy for her that she's having fun, and like I said, she's got the activity, and she's the one who's keeping it going. And so do join her group. I'm going to be doing a couple of things to enhance you being a part of her group. So do join her group, and you'll see later down the road the things that I'll be offering and doing. But that's my take for Arm's Length Art today. So I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope you will as well participate in Arm's Length Art in the group and show us what you've done today. That's it. That's all. I wish you all a very creative day and a creative week, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. I don't know when, but there is another video coming out either today or tomorrow, whatever, either this one or that one will come out, one or the other, and it's on working with scraps as well. So have yourself a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.